Yeah, continuing our discussion with CWI presidential hopeful Ray Ford. Ford released his manifesto in July last year under the vision of repositioning Cricket West Indies as a credible, trustworthy, modern, professional and accountable entity, with the ultimate deliverable being returning joy to Cricket West Indies' long-suffering stakeholders. This is Ford's explanation of the manifesto. He says it speaks to the overarching goal of bringing back joy to West Indies cricket supporters like England are doing now, baseball. And to achieve that, it speaks to repositioning Cricket West Indies to focus more on the things that really matter and addressing head-on our challenges. Among these, our under-resourced feeder systems, the inadequacy of our regional financial partnerships, and the underutilization of technical expertise and star power. These are the challenges that Ford will seek to address if, of course, he is elected. The problems within West Indies cricket that need immediate attention are 1. Governance, 2. Underprepared and under-resourced feeder systems, inadequate regional sponsorship engagement, and underutilization of technical expertise and star power. We still have Ray Ford with us. Mr. Ford, let's start with the issue of governance. And I think we have a graphic just outlining some of the points under the issue of governance, which we will go to shortly. Now, one of those things, employing a high-level financial team to leverage a larger slice of the ICC full member distributions. There's financial accounting, reorienting Cricket West Indies away from player and coach-centric preparation and towards one which better strengthens the competitiveness of feeder systems, accountability, coaches being accountable, board transparency, outside audits of any function of Cricket West Indies must be made public. Team selections must be reasonably logical and explainable. So those are the points that you have under the governance issues of Cricket West Indies, which you will be looking to tackle. The one that I want you to address, first of all, is employing a high-level financial team to leverage a larger slice of the ICC full member distributions. Now, can you explain that for us in more detail and exactly how you plan to get that done in a world where everybody knows that as far as world cricket is concerned right now, it's dominated and dictated by India, Australia and England. So exactly how do you plan to break that up?
Well, you know, when you see people getting on our side, you mentioned India, Australia, and England. I think after the Australia season, the West Indies tour of Australia the last time, you heard people like Ricky Ponting, calling our cricket a disgrace, and I think it was Ian Chappell who wrote an op-ed piece in the ESPN Quick Info, lambasting the ICC. And I think the chairman of the Zimbabwe Cricket Board, he had that on his agenda too, had he won. So this is not something that's left field. I think it's gathering momentum because West Indies plays a brand of cricket that is attractive all over the world. And if you don't have, West Indies playing good cricket, which is going to result from better financing, then, it does not bode well. So I think this effort is gathering steam. And my way of going about it is to employ high-level people in the Caribbean who I know have a lot of gravitas on the international scene. Apply them because it's a Commonwealth problem. So apply them to go to the ICC and make a case for us.
Right. And Ray, of course, in order to get anything done, because you speak about employing high-level people, but to do that, we need money, and financial problems has, plagued West Indies cricket for some time. So apart from, just going to them to get money, how do you plan, of course, to raise that money and the amount of money that we would need to employ such people? Because high-level people need high-level money.
No, I think you misunderstood me. There are some high-level heads of state in the Caribbean who recognize our predicament. And those are the people, when I talk about employing their expertise to lobby on our behalf. I don't think if Ray Ford goes to the ICC, he alone can make a good case.
Right.
But he needs to carry people with him like Mayor Motley or the President of Guyana, those heavy hitters who know how important cricket is to the region and who are articulate enough to make a case to the ICC. Yeah. So when I say employing those people, it's not for financial gain or payment.
Okay.
It's using their stature to make an impression on the ICC, which people like me, by myself, cannot make. But this needs to be done. And for the longest while, you've been hearing in the Caribbean that this cannot be done. We just have to be accepting what's dished out to us. That's where my boldness and fairness comes in, because we have to make a case, and we cannot just sit there and twiddle our thumbs and say we don't have the resources. We have to demand or, go for a better share of the pie.
Okay.
It's no use that India and Australia and England are making all this money and we aren't making any, and we don't have the resources to get our cricket going, and that's a big problem.
Okay, so I get the fact that, you're going to get the leading heads in different Caribbean countries, of course, to support you and put that argument forward. Now, that aside, yes, of course, our performance as well on the pitch has been very, very poor. Every time we discuss West Indies cricket, we're talking about us losing, and losing sometimes in a very, very embarrassing manner. So, of course, in order to get support, we have to get results. So what's your plan in order, to fix this state that West Indies cricket has come to?
Well, this won't be a short-term fix, but you have to start somewhere. And what I see right now, the emphasis is on the finishing school as opposed to the developmental schools. So you hear people talking about the academy and, all this, the first team, the first West Indies men's, the cricket team. That's all well and good. But I think too much emphasis is being placed there, and too little emphasis is being placed on the feeder systems, the pipeline which bring these cricketers to the Test cricket level. Take, for instance, the fellow who just got a place in the a batsman who just got a place on the South Africa.
You mean Alec
Test team. Yes. Now I read that he was in the same bracket as Shubman Gill from India 3 or 4 years ago, or 5 years ago, whatever it is. Now, what separates that fellow from Gill? Gill has gone on to be a star, and he is just getting into the West Indies team. What's separating those two paths? I think we have to pay more attention to the development, the feeder systems and the pipelines, and hope we can flood that so we have more people coming through, more competition for places, because that has been a problem. We don't have enough competition for places. We're keeping people who might not be deserving of a place. So we have to flood the pipelines. So I'm going to switch my emphasis from the finishing school to what I call the finding school, whatever that finding school may take, whether primary school leagues, secondary school leagues, coming right up the chain. That's going to be my emphasis.
Yeah, fair enough. Team selections must be reasonably logical and explainable. Of course, the issues surrounding West Indies team selections are not new. And I'm sure from your writing in 1986, we've had many of these issues and we continue to do so. How do you suppose that under any leadership of Ray Ford, you would be able to address this issue? How would you go about addressing it?
Well, I don't want to look like a dictator or an intruder, but if some selections don't look right, I'm not going to sit in my ivory tower and say, okay, I left it up to the selection committee. I want to get an explanation because the buck's going to stop with me as president. I can't pass it to the chief selector. I mean, if something doesn't make sense, I'd like to explain how did we arrive at that position. I'd like to get an explanation. So what I plan to do is not to be intrusive, but to be more interactive with the process, to be more hands-on. If I see any red flags, I need to get some explanation as to how we are arriving at the decisions we are arriving at. And I don't think that's too unreasonable, because when things go bad, I think the president is the one who's going to take the blame.
I hear you on that, Mr. Ford. There's another one, and I'm rushing through a few of these here. Re-engage regional cricket sponsorship, and you point specifically to the fact that we've lost a couple of big deals in recent times, and we all know that sponsorship is an issue across the region. And you've said while Cricket West Indies has landed new global brand name sponsors, at least two major regional ones, Digicells and the Sandals Hotel chain, have vacated. A concerted effort will be made to convince regional business houses that sponsoring Cricket West Indies programs at any level is a win-win for both their businesses and ours. The Caribbean badly needs good corporate citizens, and domestic cricket badly needs resourcing. Now, let's be honest, Mr. Ford, when it comes on to sourcing sponsorship, connections matter. And one may say, well, I'll become Cricket West Indies president and I will use that office. But we also know that right across the Caribbean, a lot of times it comes down to who you know and the individuals that you can call on. What sort of connections do you have that makes you so confident that if elected, you could turn around the financial fortunes of Cricket West Indies?
Well, my connections would be important, yes. But what I want to point to is the balance sheets of some of these companies. When you see those quarterly reports, a lot of Caribbean companies are making money hand over fist. They should be partnering with West Indies cricket, because when you help clubs, when you help schools, when you sponsor leagues, you're siphoning off people from crime. And that's why I say it's a win-win, because crime is affecting all the islands in the region now. And when you sponsor clubs, have kids, take them off the street, have stuff for them to do on Saturdays by joining clubs, sponsor the primary school leagues, all these things help. And I think that we can impart or impose upon, these companies which are making money to help us achieve that goal. And it's not from me per se, but I know a lot of people who are good at raising money, much more than I can or I would ever be able to do. I will employ them to do this sort of work for me.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so it's not all about me.
Yeah.
It's putting a team around me to execute the vision that I have for West Indies cricket.
Well, Ray Ford, you've had an opportunity to articulate your vision. We hear you loud and clear. Hopefully the individuals that matter will hear you loud and clear as well. You only have a couple of weeks to get those nominations, and we wish you all the very best with that.
Okay, I thank you ever so much for having me, and I hope that this reaches some of the ears that needs to be reached. And I thank you again for having me.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be chatting again. All right, Ray Ford there, Cricket West Indies presidential hopeful, Mariah.
Well, I'm wishing him the best. Everybody that comes into this position comes with a plan and, of course, a vision, and they mean well. So let's see. As he said, let's see, if his interview reaches the right ears and he gets the meetings with the directors.
Well, he only has a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, still lots to come on the SportsMax Zone. Highlights from the NBA, and At the Track is waiting to break the gates. But Brent Sancho joins us next as we discuss the action from the UEFA Europa League round of 16.
Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.